What's up guys, my name is Ace and welcome back to Live Lessons with Ace. In today's episode, we're going to be showing you live how I sort of predict spawns in Team Deathmatch and what's going on in my mind while I'm trying to predict spawns. So I'm going to be playing a game of Team Deathmatch live for you guys, and as I'm playing, I'm going to try to explain my decisions behind everything I'm doing with respect to spawns and trying to predict where the enemy is spawning based on where I'm spawning, based on where my teammates are spawning, and just based on sort of the knowledge that I have of the spawns on the various maps in the game. Let's get into it. Alright guys, here we go. Kind of handy how this worked out. My first episode of Spawn Guides where I actually go over all of the spawn locations and how they behave on every one of the maps. It happened to be Riot Team Deathmatch, and look at this, we've got Riot Team Deathmatch. So that worked out kind of nice. I can sort of now demonstrate what I was talking about in that first episode. And keep in mind, I will be going through all the different episodes. I'll leave a link to that playlist in the description below. I'm still just sort of getting started with that series, but I do plan on covering every one of the maps, and I've got a long way to go with these. Where'd this guy end up going? So obviously, they're all still spawning at their home spawns over there. Nothing's changed yet because nobody's put any pressure on any spawns at this point on either end. So now I'm going to start pushing up to where the sniper is if I can survive this. And there's a guy down to my right as well. Okay, so now spawns are maybe... No, they're not putting quite enough pressure yet. But pretty soon they're going to start flipping to possibly a secondary spawn. I'm talking about our spawns, that is. Unless we... Yeah, looks like we've now sort of taken control of this again. I think I want to start pushing this side of the map. I want to show you that I can push spawns around this way a little bit, possibly, if I can survive. That's a big thing. I'm trying to go over these concepts, but I'm also having to win gunfights at the same time. And it can be a little bit difficult at times. So now we flip spawns. Let's have a look at where everything is. This means they put a lot of pressure on our spawn, and as you can see, teammates are starting to spawn around me. So they started pushing that right side of the map. They pushed right up onto that rooftop, and that's what caused that spawn flip right there. Because none of their teammates were in this zone. They were pushed up a little bit more on the map. Everybody on their team was pushed up at least mid-map, and some of them had pushed up even further. So that's the reason that spawn flip occurred there. And it's pretty easy to predict if you kind of have a good idea of where most of the people are on the map at any given time. Oh, he's still there. Yep. Okay, so now we've put pressure on, and now they're going to be spawning back here. Look at that. Turn around, and that's where they're all coming from. So they actually probably spawned at that secondary spawn over there, like inside that building. Oh, trying to demonstrate this well, shooting enemies. But down in that building right there is where they spawned in that particular situation. Oh, I'm going to totally get killed. Because we still had teammates that were over on this area of the map by garage, if we were watching that really carefully. And therefore they were blocking, those spawns off behind me. So this is the spawn that we get, like right in here in this building. That means that there was that enemy that was pushed up a little bit towards that side. I have teammates that are anchoring me a little bit more towards this zone. So we have full control over this area. There's no enemies in the direct vicinity, at least at the time of me spawning. That doesn't mean there won't be shortly after I spawn, like that. But now these spawns should be pretty well blocked off, and we should be spawning back here unless we have enemies back there, which we do. So now the enemies are spawning in there. They could also be spawning in behind us a little bit, but because we are putting a fair amount of pressure on these spawns right now. We do have teammates. Ooh, I thought I had that gunfight. I was just a little bit off on that one. So right here, spawned at the secondary spawn. What does this mean? We have enemies pushed in towards our primary spawns, and they're putting pressure on our primary spawn. So I know there's enemies pushing this side, but now my teammates spawn there, so we're okay. I know it's a lot going on at once. I can barely even keep up with it, and speak in time to actually explain everything. But this is all stuff that's going on in my head all the time. Once you learn the spawns, this is what's going to be happening. So I spawned here. It's possible we have enemies pushing this side of the map now over here, but my teammates seem to have control, so I don't need to go over there. Oh my god, my shots are off. Okay. This is not a gameplay to demonstrate how awesome I am. Not by any means. This is just learning spawns, okay? Okay, so let's see if we can put pressure on those spawns like I was trying to do a little bit earlier. They will be spawning in and coming up this way. They might actually also jump up onto the rooftop, so I have to be aware of that. Can't get that aim on. I'm actually leading my team now, though. And you'll notice most of the time, we're just spawning at the regular primary spawns at the back of the map. Nothing too crazy going on. We're just spawning over back there, and the enemies are spawning over there until somebody pushes. And this happens a lot more in private matches, or in public matches than in private matches against bots. So I'm really trying to be the one that's pushing spawns here, but I'm just having a hard time. So we flipped right now. That means they put way too much pressure on the top right corner. And as you can see on there, all the red dots popping up, they pushed up to that rooftop, which immediately flips spawns to this side of the map. You have to be aware of that when you're on both ends of it. So the guys that just pushed in, they have to be aware of that they pushed into our spawn and that they have flipped those spawns. If you aren't aware of that, then it can kind of screw things up for you. And since we had teammates still over there, I was constantly checking this way because it was possible that they'd still spawn in that building there. Oh, that's a teammate. Shouldn't have expected an enemy to spawn there anyways. Oh no. Wow, okay. Probably want to get some better cover to challenge those guys. There we go. That's why I love the AK-12. I don't even have a grip on this thing, and it's a beast. It's a laser beam. So let's try and be sneaky here. Maybe we can sneak through and put some pressure on these spawns. My teammate just fired though, so I don't know if we're gonna stay alive. And I anchored my team. You see that guy spawn there? That's because the red team, or the other team, had pushed the other corner of our map. They pushed towards garage and they flipped our spawns out. So therefore it anchors to the closest teammates, or the group of teammates. I had me and another teammate there. But now they're spawning back here, and they'll be coming through this way actually. Yep, I just saw a guy jump out of spawn there. And there's likely going to be more of them. They may spawn in this secondary spawn too, because I did put a little bit of pressure on there. But now, look at that. We spawn there. That means they've pushed our spawns. So it's constantly moving around the map. It's really dynamic. You always have to be aware of what's going on. Every time you see a teammate spawn, like there, teammate spawn, that means this area is safe for right now. Although there may be some enemies coming through this way, just because there's a big open hole. That has nothing to do with spawns. Just there's a big open hole over here. So it's very likely an enemy could come through here. So we'll be aware of that. We'll cut them off here. Everyone should still be getting relatively normal spawns. I hit the reload button, but nothing happened. I want to kind of fake this guy out if we can. So we did lose the game, but I hope I was able to sort of share what's going on and how much is actually going on when you're trying to predict spawns in Team Deathmatch. And they're constantly flowing around the map based on teammate and enemy positioning. So be aware of where your teammates are spawning, and also by doing that, you can usually detect where the enemies are and where the enemies are spawning in. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I really hope you guys learned something with this, and it was actually a little bit helpful and not just me rambling constantly. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you guys next time.